Blog Talk Radio.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Baltimore's Talking Live. I'm your host, Dr. Q. Co-host is Aaron Green. Say hello, Green Bean.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good night to all. Conspiracy Fairy Thursday, let's get things started.
And that's saying we have a caller, so go ahead and take that call, Green.
Wow. Beginning the show. Hello, caller. Can you name where you're calling from, please? Look at the Baltimore Talking Live.
Hey, how's it going? My name's Lonnie. I'm calling from Philly.
Hey, Lonnie. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I just discovered this show from Twitter, and I was just wanting to listen in, and I'm definitely curious to know what maybe the topic is at the moment, or I don't want to derail the conversation necessarily.
That's okay. Well, it's Conspiracy Fairy Thursday. Like we said in top of the beginning, he can do his monologue. If we can talk about, your monologue, Dr. Q. We talk about the shit show of Joe Biden's town hall meeting, which I saw little bit clips about. But what do you want to talk about, Dr. Q?
I didn't see the shit show. What was it about? You know, I'm not a Biden fan.
Because, yeah, me either. I would just see what's going on Twitter. I think I saw on Twitter and some on Facebook. Biden is basically trying to convince the people that's going to vote for people that are voting for him, how he can be a good president. He took the COVID-19 vaccination. He's the first one to take the COVID vaccination, as he showed in the audience. Also, he talked about minimum wage. Talk about what he wants to do with the money going towards the taxes. One was about police brutality, refunding the police. He thinks that we should give the police more money instead of refunding the police. And also, where's all the money being spent? That's all. Basically like your old grandpa talking nonsense, basically. So.
And student loans, I think he also covered that as well.
Yeah. He said he's now covering student loans, which the rest of the GOP and other conservatives don't give a rat's ass about. But like you said, he says he's now covering it, which is kind of very sad, based on people having so much debt that he's trying to get away from and everything else. But Que sera, sera.
Yeah, there's definitely discussions still about reducing people's student loans by $10,000, but someone hourly asked about $50,000 being a cut to say that would actually make a significant change in people's lives, and I believe he said no to that.
Yep, you said no to no.
Well, it depends on if you went to a private or public college or something of the sorts related to that.
Yeah. Healthcare, the stuff that people want to know about him and what he's going to do in the past 2 years until he decided to kick his ass out of office. So that was a town meeting it was about anyway.
So yeah, that's a great point. That actually leads me to a question. I have been recently eyeing Baltimore as possibly a place to relocate to, and I would just like to know, as far as like the state of the political scene there. Are you satisfied with the way things are operating in the city at this moment? Is the city on the up? Is it on decline? Is it kind of just stagnant? Like, what's happening?
As far as what do you mean? The cost of living? You got to be more specific.
Okay, sure. So I meant, like, is the city headed in a good direction in terms of like economic development, infrastructure? Like, are you satisfied with the way things are going in the city? Crime, is it on the decline? Like, all of those things.
Well, with Baltimore is not a city. It's we're trying to pass a law to give the city back the way it's supposed to be. Back in 1757, the city was owned by the Italians. When I say owned, they actually had a receipt of what they purchased this little town. It was 135,815 acres. So for people that have a map, that would be from President Street all the way down to Hollandtown, and cross back towards Martin Luther King Boulevard. Everything above that was not developed, and it wasn't city limits. It was Baltimore County for a little bit. So it became incorporated. So as an incorporation, the state governor pretty much runs the city, and he runs the state. So you become, because the corruption was so bad. So they end up talks now trying to get control back to the city. And I don't know if the city is ready for that yet.
Okay.
Because the mayor is barely 30 years old. I don't know how old he is. He's a child to me. And he's having childish thoughts and childish ways of doing things instead of an adult way of doing things. He's throwing these slurs and attitudes, stuff that children would do in high school. That's how he responds to the media. That's how he responds to the taxpayers. And everything is me, me, me. So when you're an adult, you understand that it's not a me, me, me. It's an orchestration of us, our, and we, because it's an administration. It's not a me, 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 unless you sing the song. Me, 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 me. It's the only time you can say me is if you about to sing opera. But as far as the cost of living, yeah, it's great. The crime that we have happening in the city is not Baltimore City crime. It's outsiders crime. And nobody has never addressed it because we don't know how to address it. For example, they had this Hurricane Katrina. So a lot of people are relocated here because of Hurricane Katrina. Now, that's been at least 10 years ago. Shouldn't these people be able to go back to where they live? We don't know.
I don't think that that's fair to say that it was the people who relocated from Katrina who caused the crime spikes.
No, I'll just give an example. We have people that relocated from everywhere: New York, New Jersey, Louisiana,
Baltimore.
They're still living here. In fact, the government bumped out people who had a job. Let's say you had a job as a technician for 15 years, but somebody has been displaced for 5 years as a technician. They gave them your job. So what do? You've been there for 15 years, and they gave them their job because they had to give them a job that matched what they were making. And because the pay rate of that state was higher, which is like what you're making after 15 years of getting there, matches what they were getting for 5 years, they bumped you out. So basically they can get it cheaper. So those people went to other states, try to find work, or they'll commute back and forth, try to find work, or they just never found work and they got on unemployment. Then comes another tragedy where you had the people were setting houses on fire in Baltimore City. That doesn't happen. People were upset because they didn't have all their ducks in a row, couldn't buy the house. So if a house was on the market in an empowerment zone, people set it on fire. It seemed like every week, 2 houses on fire on this street, 3 blocks down the road, 3 houses on fire on that street. And it's like, wow. And all these houses on fire are in that same zone. Not too long ago, there was an explosion. 3 houses, all side by side, all owned by the same landlord, but they said there's no foul play. They checked everything, and BG&E said it's not a gas leak, it's not gas related. Now we got a new president, and what did they say happened? Somebody left the gas on the stove. Come on, stop telling lies. You just went through every test and said it was not gas related. Now you come back later and say it was a gas stove that caused the explosion of 3 houses, blew out windows 2 blocks across the way. Nobody has still disproved what I said it was, and I said it was a bomb. The vibration of a gas explosion only knocked out 3 houses and shattered the windows of the houses across the alley behind you and across the street in front of you, and 4 houses down. Man said he was in the bed and the vibration knocked him on the floor. Get out of here. Okay. And you felt it all the way up at Owens Mills, gas, get out of here. That's what they want to tell you. The fake news is strong here, but they didn't want to say, oh, yeah, it was a bomb, because then people probably would move out. So they have to tell you something that make you feel good about staying there, that it might not happen again. But it wasn't gas, because when gas explodes, it leaves a print of where it burnt from, an igniting point and a flash point. There was none. Well, but there's an impact point.
Isn't
on
someone
the wall
in the fire department responsible for identifying? Someone from the fire department normally is the one to identify the cause of fire or explosion or whatever it may be. I guess with that, you're saying that they're in cahoots with the corruption. Like do you feel that way? That it's just all throughout the city leadership?
Well, we have the best honest fire chief in a long time. So what the fire chief does, he'll give his ruling and he'll write it down, and then he'll give it to the people who are asking for it. And whatever they said that it is, that's what they say that it is. But he'll never come forward and tell a lie. He didn't give us. He never spoke and said what it was. He said they'll submit their findings in writing. So if a politician gets up there and says, oh, it was a gas stove, that's on you to tell that lie. And that takes the pressure off of him. And this is how Baltimore politics has always been. people were alive. For example, Freddie Gray. Police officer came forward and said Freddie Gray was in the hospital. How does the cop know